Blindfolded and then whip the blindfold off. There's no place like this anyplace else in the world. You know exactly where you are right away.
Outdoor writer and sportsman Bob Hirsch made his first trip to this area around 1969 and has been exploring it ever since. And one of his favorite places, as well as one of the main attractions of the lake, is Rainbow Bridge.
And I never get tired of going back there. I told my wife Mary one day, I said, I'd like to go up to the bridge and just stay there until I'm tired. Hour by hour, it changes with the light. That's endlessly fascinating.
Rainbow Bridge National Monument is taller than the nation's capital and nearly as long as a football field. It is the largest natural bridge in the world, and before Lake Powell flooded Glen Canyon, it was one of the most inaccessible regions in the country. The Navajo culture considers it a sacred symbol of deities, responsible for creating clouds, rainbows, and rain, the essence of life in the desert. Today there is a courtesy dock, so visitors can access the bridge by boat, or for the more hardy, there is a 14-mile hiking trail that begins at the Navajo Mountain Trading Post. Lake Powell was formed when Glen Canyon Dam was built to hold back the mighty Colorado River. Construction began in 1956, and the dam was dedicated 10 years later. Once the giant floodgates were closed, it took another 17 years for the lake to completely fill. Now it's second only to Lake Mead as the largest man-made reservoir in North America. It's 186 miles long and has nearly 2,000 miles of shoreline, which is more than the entire west coast. Even the flooding of Glen Canyon won't stop her from showing off her treasures, every now and then.
Lake Powell has been in the midst of a drought for the last 5 years. In this year, we're going to start coming up. So Lake Powell is currently at a lake level of 3,588, and it's going to come up to 3,625. And the good thing about that is all the launch ramps will be wet, and the Castle Rock Cut will be open, along with many other shortcuts on Lake Powell. So access and boating is going to be great.
To really experience Lake Powell, you need to explore it by boat. The lake gives you access to a myriad of canyons painted with bands of vermilion, mauve, ivory, and chocolate, rocks from the depth of time in living color. Big gorges branch into smaller gorges. They in turn divide into smaller canyons, each one exposing new and exciting things to see, like these fiery reflections dancing on the rocks. And everywhere, the cliffs of Glen Canyon tower overhead. It is worth repeating that there is no other place quite like it. One of the most popular ways to visit Lake Powell, especially for families, is by houseboat.
The joy of houseboating is really you have all the amenities and luxuries of home in a what I would call somewhat of a wilderness experience, but it's a great way to get away from everything, sit back, relax, enjoy beautiful Lake Powell.
When you rent a houseboat, it is recommended that you also take a small powerboat along with you. Typically, you can find a quiet cove to park your home away from home, and then use the smaller boat to really explore the lake. And do some fishing, too.
The drought has actually had a great silver lining for the fisheries at Lake Powell. As the lake went down, it exposed sediment that's been covered for 30, 35 years. As that sediment mixed with wind and wave action, it released the nutrients. Those nutrients were taken up by plants. That was eaten by plankton. Many plankton creates many shad. So the shad is our forage base, and once we had a tremendous number of shad out there, all the game fish got big, fat, and healthy. So the drought has been just a great thing for the fish populations in Lake Powell.
While fishing is very popular here, the greatest attraction is still the uniqueness of the area itself. Besides all the incredible beauty, there is plenty of history that still lines these shores. Those steps continue on, all the way to the bottom of the lake, where the Colorado River used to run free through Glen Canyon. Just as this boat causes ripples across the water, the construction of Glen Canyon Dam had the ripple effect of creating needed water storage and readily available electricity for our state. Unfortunately, the dam also had the effect of destroying most of Glen Canyon and impacting the ecosystems downstream into the Grand Canyon. In 1968, public opposition defeated proposals to build Marble and Bridge Canyon dams, which would have flooded much of Grand Canyon between Hoover and Glen Canyon dams. These areas are safer now because Glen Canyon was given up.
Well, I suppose that even though I didn't at first like the lake, it's because eventually, gradually, I realized that it's really an incredibly beautiful place. And even though I understand that a tremendous amount was lost here, and in fact some of it was right below at the mouth of Wahweap Creek, it's really pretty amazing just the way it is.
Even though the building of Glen Canyon Dam was steeped in controversy, the reality today is Lake Powell has become a popular destination in its own right, a fascinating place where you can still appreciate the beauty that was Glen Canyon and connect with the storied history of this rugged country. Lake Powell sits like a shimmering turquoise jewel, magnificently framed by towering rock formations and soaring red cliffs, which surround the area for as far as the eye can see. There is truly nothing like it anywhere on the planet.
I tell people